Thank you, Nazneen, for that wonderful introduction. There's a slight correction. I no longer work at Girizar. I'm a consultant at Chaitanya Eye Hospital and a medical director of Ananta Eye Bank. So, firstly, I thank Dr. Arup and Dr. Nazneen for introducing me and for giving me this opportunity. Let me start my presentation. Yeah. So, I'll be talking on toric IOL calculations. No financial interest. And the first question is, why implant a toric IOL at all? Now, it has been found that more than one-third of the patients who undergo cataract surgery have an astigmatism of more than 1 diopters. About 1/5 have more than 1.5 diopters, and about 8% have more than 2 diopters. Now, the advantage of implanting a toric IOL in patients with significant astigmatism is that it is superior uncorrected distribution. And as you know, multifocal, if you are implanting a multifocal IOL, they have lesser astigmatism tolerance, and it is better to go for a toric IOL if you have significant astigmatism. Now, the prerequisites for selecting a toric IOL are that first, our diagnostics should be correct, because it is always garbage in, garbage out. So the detailed antigen post-segment evaluation should be done, and special attention has to be given to the ocular surface and TFL. As Dr. Arup had explained before, it is imprudent to do the biometry on the same day as dilatation and applanation tonometry. So even if you use artificial tears, do not do it on the same day. Either you do it before doing the investigations, before touching the eye, or after a few days. You need a virgin cornea for doing the biometry. And try and avoid irregular astigmatism, highly irregular astigmatism. Try and avoid implanting toric IOLs in highly irregular astigmatism. Why? Because irregular astigmatism cannot be fully corrected by toric IOL. And if the patient has significant irregular astigmatism even after your toric IOL, then the next option is to go for a rigid gas permeable or a scleral contact lens. But however, if you put a rigid contact lens, what will happen is the astigmatism that you have induced with your toric IOL will remain. So you'll have to go for a toric RGP, which complicates the situation further. So assess carefully. And how do you identify irregular astigmatism? The best way is to do a proper retinoscopy. You'll be able to see the loss of the clear reflex. And another method is to do multiple measurements with your same instrument. If you're not getting consistent results with the same instrument of keratometry, then it means there's something wrong. Also, if there's no clear agreement between different instruments that you use to measure the keratometry, such as manual automated topographer, manual automated keratometers or topographers, etc., then also you get a clue that it's a regular astigmatism. Of course, you can get it very nicely if you have a topographer. The irregular astigmatism can be easily discerned. And it's also important to do an accurate biometry, axial length. If you want to do axial length, the older applanation ultrasound is not used nowadays. The standard minimum is a immersion ultrasound. Or if you have the latest technologies, you can use a PCI, OLCR, or a swept source OC. Now, there have been several advances in the determination of corneal power. So the holy grail of toric IOLs now is the posterior corneal astigmatism. Now, there are several instruments which help us measure the anterior and posterior corneal astigmatism reasonably well. They include the dual Scheinfeld camera, that is a Galili, the Cassini LED topographer, and the swept source OCT from the IOL Master 700, which gives a total keratometry. However, you have to make certain considerations for toric IOL calculation. One is the pre-existing astigmatism. I would keep a threshold of 1.5 to 1.7 diopters for implanting a toric IOL with the rule astigmatism, and lower threshold of 0.5 to 0.7 diopters for an against the rule astigmatism. Why? That I will explain later. The other consideration is surgically induced astigmatism, which used to be a big thing in the past, but nowadays it is not much of a big deal after Dr. Warren Hill has done enough research on this. The important thing that the holy grail of toric IOLs now is the posterior corneal astigmatism. It was formerly considered insignificant, and because many people after implanting toric IOLs, they found out that they have a residual error of 0.7 to 1 diopters. Now, Formerly, it was thought to be caused by IOL tilt, but now we know that the posterior cornea plays a significant role in astigmatism. Posterior cornea is, is in 80% of the patients is vertically oriented, steeper vertically. Because it is a minus power lens, the posterior cornea induces a with the rule astigmatism of 0.26 to 0.78, an average of 0.3 diopters. It leads to, and if you don't take posterior cornea astigmatism into consideration, it will lead to overcorrection of with the rule and an undercorrection of the against the rule astigmatism. And do we have a reliable enough instrument to accurately measure the posterior corneal astigmatism of toric IOL calculations? The jury is still out on that. You have the Cassini, which is doing a good, reasonably good job. The IOL Master 700 with the Swepsos OCT and the Galilei topographer, which have come close. However, there are regression formulae. These are expensive instruments. Even if you don't have these instruments, you can quite accurately calculate the posterior corneal astigmatism and the total corneal astigmatism using regression formulae. The regression formulae which were used in the past were Baylor nomogram, Abulafia-Koch formula, is still available on the Physiol toric IOL calculator, and the latest one is the Barrett's toric calculator, which is freely available for everyone. And in the battle between optics and regression formulae, the statistics have won right now. Right now, the statistics are found to be as accurate or slightly more accurate than the physical methods of measuring the posterior corneal astigmatism. This is the Baylor nomogram, which was used before we got the newer formulae. Where you have to factor in the surgically induced astigmatism along with the pre-existing astigmatism and use this table to apply your nomogram so that you leave some amount of with the rule astigmatism. Why we leave with the rule astigmatism is that because as age progresses, there is a shift, astigmatic drift from for about 0.34 diopters every 10 years. So the patient tends to go towards against the rule astigmatism from with the rule as age progresses. Now, this is the Abulafia-Koch formula, which is available on the Physiol toric IOL calculator. And what is most commonly used is the Barrett's toric calculator. The Barrett toric calculator is available on this website. It has mostly outperformed all the other currently methods directly measure posterior corneal astigmatism. And it calculates spherical power using the Barrett's Universal 2 formula. The Barrett toric TK is also available, where you can enter the total keratometric value or the measured posterior corneal astigmatism in the calculator itself, if you do not want the nomogram to calculate the posterior corneal astigmatism on its own. Now, this is the formula that Dr. Arup was talking about, the newest one, and it incorporates theoretical optics, regression, and artificial intelligence, calculating total corneal astigmatism. It also has a keratoconus formula, which can be used for keratoconic eyes. And in a recent study, this was found to be most accurate than, even more accurate than the Barrett formula. But there are more studies have to be done to confirm this. Surgically induced astigmatism was a big thing in the past. And this refers to the change in the both power and to a lesser degree orientation of principal meridians following a corneal incision, and depends on various factors such as incision location, size, architecture, corneal radius thickness, rigidity, stretching of incision as the folded IOL passes through it, and the biological response of the cornea. The greater the hysteresis of the cornea, lesser will be the surgically induced astigmatism. If you're, the other component of SIA is the lenticular SIA, which is caused by IOL tilt or rotation, and difference in IOL power, and also AC depth. The toricity induced in the corneal plane depends upon the IOL power, spherical power, and also the anterior chamber depth. The average SIA may not be same as the SIA in the next case, but what has been found is that astigmatism is a vector with both magnitude and direction, and the main game changer in SIA calculation was the centroid value, which was introduced by Dr. Giri, and where the two-dimensional mean of SIA for a series of patients was calculated. And it has found that for most surgeons who do a temporal clear corneal incision for up to 2.8 mm, the range of SIA is from 0.08 to 0.14, the mean of 0.12. So if you do not know your SIA, you can just plug in the value of 0.1 to 0.12 in the calculator, in the Barrett calculator. And you can, if you want to be particular about calculating SIA, you can go to siacalculator.com. There are various image guide systems, the Variant Callisto, IOL Compass 3D True Guide, and Zaldívar toric caliper, which reduce the parallax and transcription errors, can give a seamless transfer of information to your microscope, delivering the IOL. There are various apps and online tools also available which use limbal marks and limbal blood vessels for calculating the alignment of the IOL. Intraoperative aberrometry is an expensive solution, but it is one of the more accurate solutions where you have a microscope-mounted wavefront aberrometer, which calculates the refraction in real time and tells you where to rotate the IOL, in what direction to rotate the IOL. Post-op analysis can be done on astigmatismfix.com and recalculatortoric.com to understand whether the residual astigmatism is due to rotation of the IOL, whether you can correct it by rotating the IOL, or whether you have to exchange the IOL. The keys to it, so the take-home messages from this talk are that it's important to do an accurate keratometry, pay close attention to the ocular surface, rule out irregular astigmatism. While measuring the keratometry, make sure the head position of the patient is correct. Use multiple readings and multiple instruments to make sure they're consistent with each other. Use modern IOL formulae and surgically induced astigmatism. You do a vector analysis or plug in a value of 0.1 or 0.12. And while looking at the target diffraction, overcorrect against the rule astigmatism by about 0.34 and undercorrect it with the rule astigmatism to account for the astigmatic drift that occurs. Thank you.